text you sent me yesterday.
I did
and
say
then you continued it this morning.
I said it to you. In my entire life as a Philadelphia sports fan, I have never been more angry hearing a Philadelphia executive be interviewed about their team, talking to the fans, which is what they do when they're interviewed in sports talk radio by somebody, that I've never been so angry as I was listening to that interview.
Right.
And I will tell you, I teach students for a living to do jobs like this. I already grabbed that interview, cut it into 3 spots, and put it away for next year's class because Mike Missanelli, to me, taught a master's class in interviewing during that interview.
He was spectacular.
And I told my wife, she said, boy, Mike's pretty relentless on that interview. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't have done as good a job. That was a relentless job of interviewing by Mike Missanelli. Respectful, relentless questioning, kept his cool because I would not have. I would have lost my cool because of this line of questioning is where I would have lost it. And it was where Mike just asked him something that should have been a very simple question, and then he redirected, and Daryl Morey just wouldn't answer the question.
What surgery did he have, and what was corrected? Because I don't think that the fan base knows. We know he had surgery. We've been told it's been successful. What exactly was it that's going to make him a player that's not going to be injured?
I believe that was announced. He had a scope. Look, it looks optimistic. He's with the doctor that did Kawhi. He was up in New York working with him this week. He's working every day at the facility. I was with him yesterday working with his folks. So he's working hard, doing whatever he can to get back out on the floor. This is, I mentioned this before. His issues are not, I break my arm, it heals and you come back. This is more of a complex case that these things can trend in a good direction over time, and we believe they will.
I know he had a scope. That's what I'm saying. What did the scope reveal? I don't think people know about that. Did they fix something in there? Did they just go in with the scope and say, well, it's degenerative? Like, what happened?
I don't think doctors go in to scope without fixing something. So I believe.
Do you know what they fixed? Do you have any idea what they fixed?
I have intimate knowledge of what's going on, yeah.
Okay, well, you can't share that?
I believe we announced what we can share.
That, to me, the first time Mike asked, what did they do? I think he had a scope, is what Daryl Morey said. That is a quote. I think he had a scope. What is that? And then he says, I have infinite knowledge of what went on. So he goes from, I think he had a scope, to, oh no, I have infinite knowledge of what happened with Joel Embiid's procedure. To me, the roundabout, I won't answer the question, tells me, again, there's zero transparency from the Sixers when it comes to Joel Embiid's health. A man that they said, oh no, Joel, you can't complete a season healthy. You cannot play 70% of the games and end the season healthy. But no, take this $195 million in a wheelbarrow that we're going to have here, and it's gold-plated, and we're going to give it to you for 3 years that you're probably never going to freaking play for us. But take it, and I'm going to give it to you. And that's what Daryl Morey did. And when Daryl Morey's asked about it by Mike Missanelli, very respectfully and honestly a little bit relentlessly, but in all respect, Daryl Morey just sort of scoffs it off like, I'm not telling you what you want to know. I have never been angrier listening to an executive in this town address the fan base. Because you know what he's doing there? He's addressing the fan base. And I like Daryl.
Yeah. And
we've had some good interactions with Daryl. Daryl doesn't, what he told me there is, he doesn't care about it. He didn't care that you don't need an answer. He doesn't have to answer you. You don't deserve an answer. It's something that's worthy of keeping secret. You don't have a right to know. That's a load of crap. That was the worst thing I've ever heard from an executive in this town. And here's the one last thing I'll just rant on this. Every executive I've ever known, when they're on the plank, getting ready to walk off the plank, and Captain Hook has the sword, and they got a cigarette in their mouth, and they're ready to walk off the plank into the shark-infested waters. They start reciting their resume.
Oh, we're going to play that clip for you on the other side, Johnny.
Oh, my gosh. Well, guess what? The sharks are circling the boat.
Yeah, and look, the lack of transparency with the injury. If this was not a common practice, maybe you don't have that reaction. But unfortunately, even ramp up, we don't know what was he ramping up, right? There was the talk that they were just trying to get him into a certain weight class. There was talk about game shape. There was talk about knee. We don't even know what they were necessarily ramping up. And this is back in October, November. And here we are in May, and to your point, still really no real answer on what they did with Joel Embiid. Now he says he's confident and optimistic. Of course he has to say that. He paid the guy, to your point, 3 extra years of $180+ million. So of course he's going to have to say that he's optimistic. Or if he is looking to potentially move him, which I don't believe that's the case, but if he is, he has to say all these right things. But to your point about the lack of transparency with what was fixed, if it was fixed. We don't know what was fixed. Remember, there was reports that they disagreed with what the outlook should have been. Remember the Sixers wanted him to play?
They did.
According to Shams reported during the season that the team wanted him to play through it because they thought that was best. And Embiid and his party said that he should have gotten surgery because they thought that that was best. So for Daryl Morey to not be able to give you an answer just last week still tells me that there was a disconnect between what they wanted to do.
I can't. The one thing I do know is this. Whoever has been giving the Embiid camp advice about his physical health for his entire career, his conditioning, his medical health, whatever, you must be going to some quack on the internet. So whoever Joel listens to, stop listening to them. And I'm not saying that the Sixers doctors are somebody you need to listen to either.
Right. Just find new people. Just like
But
Ben
my
Simmons and
gosh.
his brother who was a shooting coach.
Oh,
Like
my
at some
gosh.
point you move on from that shooting coach. That's hurting your career.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. Well,